Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook is saying that in the future, Facebook may censor posts about state violence. Now, they already have to some extent. I'll go into that more later. But before we get into the news here, I want to make sure that everyone hits that like button, shares on social media to help us get around the shadow banning. And if you're watching this on YouTube, better yet, watch it on BitChute and join us on Flote. Check those links below and join our new newsletter at iambanned.com. We're not long for YouTube anymore, guys. Anyways, let's get into this news. As this article out of Newsweek says, Zuckerberg says Facebook could restrict posts about state violence if U.S. faces prolonged period of civil unrest. I feel like we've been dealing with civil unrest for a long time already, but nonetheless, as the article goes into, facing widespread criticism, Mark Zuckerberg has defended Facebook's decision not to remove a controversial post by President Trump. However, he also said if the U.S. is entering a prolonged period of civil unrest, it may review policies relating to posts about violence. Now, let me point out that he comes in with people going, oh no, look at this guy, he's not censoring posts, and then as if anyone's really calling for that. A few people on the left were calling for the censorship of posts, but I mean, overall, most people don't want to see more censorship. Seriously, it's the reason why so many people are leaving these platforms in the first place. And he comes in like, oh, all these people want me to take down the post, so I guess if they want it, I guess I'll start doing that in the future. I mean, it makes him look like he's somehow resistant to censorship, which is obvious nonsense, complete psyop. And so he can come in later on and see, well, I resisted it as long as I could. As the article continues here, it says, the social network's founder fueled outrage and rare displays of employee revolt this week after failing to take action against an update from the president on May 29th that included the phrase, and I quote, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Of course, Trump was talking about people defending their businesses and shooting if people try to break into their businesses, but as per usual, the mainstream media took it out of context. As it continues here, and by the way, Trump he's not good at talking, so he also kind of walks into that himself. As it continues here, it says, protests against police brutality erupted across the U.S. following the killing of George Floyd, 46, who died while being arrested by police in Minnesota on May 25th. Unlike Twitter, which removed Trump's post for glorifying violence, Facebook left it online, sparking complaints and resignations inside the company. What a joke. In a video meeting with Facebook staff Tuesday, Zuckerberg reportedly said ongoing civil unrest could force executives to evolve policies about what government leaders can post about state violence, The Verge reported. He said, if we were entering a period where there may be a prolonged period of civil unrest, then that might suggest that we need different policies, even if just temporarily in the United States for some period compared to where we were before. In the video call audio obtained by The Verge, Zuckerberg reportedly said in a review of Trump's post determined it did not ultimately violate Facebook policy. According to Recode, which also obtained audio of the call, Zuckerberg said his teams were currently considering adding labels to posts by world leaders that could be perceived as inciting violence, but stressed that doing so would take time. Zuckerberg is quoted as saying, we basically concluded after the research and after everything I've read and all the different folks that I've talked to that the reference is clearly to aggressive policing, maybe excessive policing, but it has no history of being read as a dog whistle for vigilante supporters to take justice into their own hands. Now, I want to point out that when you post about state violence as an individual, things get taken down all the time. If you call out, even the Iraq War, the collateral violence video, killing children in the Middle East, bombing children, drone bombing for years under Obama and under Trump, posts have been taken down. If you talk about police brutality, you show videos, constantly those videos get taken down. What is state violence versus what people are saying? Like, what's the difference between them saying, oh, well, someone in the government can't say something violent, but someone on the ground also can't say something violent? I mean, where do you make that determination? I mean, if someone is saying the government is doing this thing that's violent and maybe shows a video as evidence, is that going to get taken down? Or is the government saying something violent, which they do all the time because government is violent, is that going to be taken down? It's hard to really discern what on earth they're actually talking about. But let me make this clear. This is a complete psyop. They are trying to virtue signal their way into saying they're not censoring things. They're censoring things constantly, more than I've ever seen before. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, unbelievably bad. And they're taking down my posts. They're disappearing videos of police, for example, at the riots, breaking windows before the riots begin. So then they blame it on the protesters. It gives them more reason to get a bigger police budget. They get paid more, and they bring in more force. I'm seeing that all the time. Facebook's been taking down those videos. And a lot is to be said about Facebook, while taking down those videos, allowing government officials around the world to pledge murder and mayhem upon innocent individuals living in other countries around the world. I mean, look at the propaganda that's been pushed on things like Facebook over the years about Assad gassing his own people, which has now been proven to be false. And the government saying we need to basically blow up the country and kill, honestly, it would possibly lead to millions of deaths, including many more children than who died from this supposed chemical attack. And Facebook left the government posts up on that. But if people said, well, wait, there's something wrong with this, this isn't real, this isn't legitimate, then those people's posts were taken down. I mean, he's virtue signaling about not censoring when he is censoring so that he can come in later saying, well, I resisted it, but now I got to take all these posts down. This is we're just witnessing the greatest psyop ever. From coronavirus, which originally they said 3.5% to 7% of people would die from it. And now we know that from the CDC themselves, they said all deaths included, it's about a 0.26% chance of dying. But if you take away nursing homes and asymptomatic cases, it goes down to 0.1%. But if you consider all the asymptomatic cases that aren't counted, it would bounce down to closer to 0.04% of dying if you had coronavirus. And then if you look at all people in general, you find that it's about 0.002% chance of dying. That's one of the biggest lies in history. It has led to way more deaths from the shutdown, the suicides, the drug use, the domestic violence. Everyone's lost their jobs. 40 million unemployed. I mean, it's terrorism what they did. They use fear to enforce an ideology, and now there's surveillance everywhere. Now they're saying forced vaccinations and all this kind of stuff. And then it suddenly morphs from that where they're saying, oh, these right-wingers are trying to get their jobs back when it's everyone. And I'm in Mexico. I'm interviewing people in Mexico. They're definitely not white supremacists, and they want their jobs back too. And it goes from that to suddenly, oh, actually, no, it's okay for a ton of people to go outside in large numbers over the police brutality situation, which is a real situation, and we're standing up and taking action over. But it's okay for them to do it, and it's only okay because they're destroying a bunch of things. And people are holding signs like, why is it that these white people weren't attacked with tear gas for, protesting losing their jobs? And it's like, because they had AR-15s. Maybe that has something to do with it. But then they go into this, and we see all these psyops, pallets of bricks left on the side of the road, all this evidence that this is one giant game that they're playing, and now they're saying George Floyd had coronavirus, because of course he did. And then you have all these people, their new stance is kneeling. I know this goes back to Colin Kaepernick, but you have crowds of people now kneeling with police. Get off your knees, guys. I mean, don't you see what they're doing here? And now they have more police powers. They're bringing in state of emergencies. They're creating order out of chaos. They're sending in agent provocateurs. We see the umbrella man. We see the bricks being laid. We see videos of police breaking windows before the protesters arrive. All this kind of stuff. They're clearly just leading people along. Even if people stand up against the government, they morph it into an issue of racial division so people clash within and not focus on the real enemy. I mean, all of this is a giant psyop. And now, social media, which, by the way, Facebook worked with China on facial recognition, and they're definitely developing social credit. So Facebook will become the new social credit with ID 2020 or something along those lines, and Bill Gates, work with ID 2020. It's insane. Meanwhile, you can go back to the coronavirus, and Dr. Fauci headed the Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, which did studies at, or got millions of dollars in U.S. government grants at the Wuhan, China lab, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, to study coronavirus in bats, which was 96% similar to the novel coronavirus. And in the study, it was meant to study how to spread coronavirus to humans. I mean, all this stuff is coming together. It's obvious that this is all fabricated. Every single story. And we talk about it, and YouTube says, if you keep saying things against the World Health Organization, we'll demonetize you. And I'm like, I don't negotiate with terrorists, terrorists being people who use fear to enforce ideology. So I kept talking about it. Then they demonetized my channel. Then they took us, they've hit us hard. They're taking down videos. They are shadow banning us to death. The only way we can get our videos out is by people like you sharing it, because we only reach 2% of people who click to be notified. So the censorship is insane. They're creating social credit. They're trying to find justification and get people support for censorship and slavery, and misdirect everyone's attentions and divide people against each other, create a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat. It's the same thing they did in war in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's the same thing they're doing with the police brutality thing. It's turning into a race thing instead of a government thing. It's the same thing they're doing with coronavirus. You're selfish for daring to want to get a job, but then they open things up temporarily and say you can go outside while all these businesses are being burned down in cities across the United States and elsewhere now, in all of Europe and in China. And then they say, oh, second wave that we created this bioweapon with. It was second wave. And then they shut it down again and say, see, you're selfish. We told you so. Now this is why you have to listen. 2020, am I the only one that thinks this year has been a complete nightmare? I mean, there's a lot of positives to it because people are waking up, but they're not doing anything. And if they are doing anything, it's getting co-opted immediately. I mean, I can't be alone thinking like these few months have been the craziest months of my life. I'm sure they're the craziest months of your life. If you were 400 years old, as I mentioned to one commenter the other day, they'd probably still be the craziest months of your life. It's so insane, and people are getting used to it, and that's another thing. They play things in the media, they make you forget about it after 2 days when they create the next big thing that you have to focus your attention on. We're being led, we're being told to chant, we're being told to hashtag this or use this blackout Facebook picture because they said so. They're leading us along. They're leading us along, and it's all fake. And people could say, oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. I've shown everyone evidence in so many videos over the last several months that breaks this down and proves everything we were saying. And they keep getting proven right. The coronavirus, I was right since January when I was calling it out as a psyop to create more government control. And people said, oh, you hate old people. The studies came out and showed that it's BS. And then immediately after the CDC studies showing that it's BS came out, they immediately jumped into the next thing. This is so frustrating. And now Facebook says in the future we might restrict posts about state violence. I don't have anything against them restricting government violence posts, but then they have to restrict all posts by government because government is violence. Government is organized crime. And they sacrifice the pawns, us, for the king and the queen, under the guise of helping and unity. It's all so divisive. And they say it's for our own good. The greater good of the greater number, that collectivist mantra, that slave mantra. When they're creating the problems, then they come in as a solution. I don't know, guys. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching. Share this on social media. Join our new newsletter at iamband.com. And please, please join us on BitChute and flote.app, flote.app. The future of social media, replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon, all in one with encrypted private messaging. No algorithm, so you can't get shadow banned. Super chats on live streams. Monetization on videos for creators. You can pledge to people there using cryptocurrency. I mean, let's get off of these old guard systems. I'm only on here to tell you guys the news and bring you guys over to the next place because it's never been more important to get around the propaganda, and the propaganda has never been more insane. I mean, you can't even find most of our videos when you type in the titles on YouTube anymore. You'll only find mainstream media. Even if we have 10 times more views on our video than mainstream media has on theirs, you won't find ours, you'll find theirs. Very frustrating, guys. Anyway, I appreciate everyone joining us today, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Share this on social media, find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against the mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like flote.app, that's flote.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Flote is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WHAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Bye.